Welcome to What's the Deal with Sport, and today we're going to be talking about the International Player Programme with the NFL. We're going to talk what it is, how it works, why do athletes join, and much, much more. So Dave, what's the deal?
Welcome to the first podcast, Tom.
Cheers, mate. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, mate. We've been talking about this for a while. A lot of research has gone into this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to it. Obviously, I'm used to doing the Fozcast, so it's kind of like, feels like I'm playing away from home, like cheating on Ben. But
sports analogy, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
But no, it's good. We spoke about like picking a different subject every week, and because the Super Bowl has recently happened, because we're in the midst of the Six Nations, we thought the International Pathway Program. Yeah, that's still got it right. Would be a good place to start. So, why don't you take us away, Dave, and tell us what it is exactly?
Yes, absolutely. So, the IPP, probably a bit easier to say, IPP, established in 2017 by two former British-born NFL players. So, Aidan Durd, who now is actually the NFL UK head of football development, and actually in 2018 became the first British coach in the NFL. So he played for the coach for the Atlanta Falcons, moved on to the Cowboys, and actually, coincidentally, just this week has been offered a contract with the Seattle Seahawks as their new defensive coordinator. And then probably the more also well known is Ossie Aminora, who's a two-time Super Bowl winner. So these are two English guys that basically set up the IPP, and their concern was that unless you're in the States and you're going through that high school, Division I college, all that training and picked up at a young age, international sports stars that probably can play in the NFL have transferable skills are getting overlooked. There's no real pathway for them. So knowing sort of the challenges themselves, they set up the IPP. So
who manages it? The IPP. So obviously the program itself we've just learnt about, and it's really fascinating reading up on the subject, wasn't it? You know NFL a lot more than I do. But I'm just starting to take a real interest. I think the last couple of years with the NFL has really kind of accelerated that. But with this IPP, who manages it then?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's on what you said there. I mean, NFL has got bigger over the last couple of years because they're spending more time publicising it globally, right? I mean, I've just heard that the first game of the season is going to be in Brazil.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally. They released it this week, the first game. I think it's the Atlanta Falcons in the first game, but they're playing, first game is going to be in Brazil because they're trying to grow it internationally. Yeah. It's really interesting. But yeah, so it's run by the NFL. So it's actually run by the NFL, but it's in partnership with IMG. So I think we're going to do another pod on IMG because, I mean, they are behemoth in the sports world in themselves. But they run the IMG Academy, right? So the IMG Academy is based in Florida. It's a 600-acre facility, right? Originally started as a tennis academy, and it's kind of grown now into, if you want to send your kids there and you are this amazing, I think Tiger Woods kid, right? How old he is, you want him to have the best facilities, the best coaching. Your parents will send their kids to this boarding school, the academy, where they've now got swimming, baseball, soccer, and obviously it's massive for American football. So literally in the last 5 years alone, they've been able to transfer 200 football players have been committed to Division I schools. So Division I is the likes of Michigan, Alabama State, Florida State. And of those 200 football players, in the last 5 years, 101 of them currently play in the NFL.
Which is bonkers. Yeah. So you're talking in an NFL roster, there's 50-something players in the squad. There's 11 that start on the pitch. Yeah. And there's how many teams are in is it 40 or so?
Yeah.
In the NFL? Roughly, which is really impressive numbers, isn't it? And this IMG Academy is fascinating, isn't it? So this is literally like they send their kids there, best coaching, absolutely best facilities. And it's an interesting one because I think they could do something like that in the UK, Europe, be a similar model.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, we're talking about rugby and the transfer of rugby today because obviously the Six Nations is on. But we were talking about it off camera, weren't we? That we've got a few schools here that are very well renowned, and colleges like Hartbury College, Millfield, Felsted that are big feeders for rugby. But we don't have those types of facilities where it doesn't matter what what sport you want to play, you can go there and get the highest level of coaching, facilities, etc. But then a 600-acre facility, I'm not sure we'd find anywhere to put that in this country. So obviously we've navigated, run by the NFL. It's hosted at the IMG Academy. But I mean, how does it actually work?
Right. Okay. So I'm going to direct read this one because I want to get it right. So the NFL has a specific roster rules for players that sign through the IPP. Each season, an NFL division is selected at random to participate in the IPP program. Designated teams are allowed an extra off-season roster spot for the IPP player that is assigned to the team. The IPP is a 10-week training camp, and after that, the IPP players can either be signed to their assigned club's 53-man roster or waived. Players who clear waivers may be signed to their assigned team's practice squad using an IPP exemption that allows for an extra practice squad spot. IPP players signed to a practice squad using the exemption may not be signed to any team's active roster that season. However, players signed to a practice squad without the exemption are treated in the same way as other practice squad players for roster purposes. So, in effect, it's a freebie for these teams. Yeah. So they're assigned these teams, and it's like, this is an IPP program. We're not expecting you to use up your roster spot. Take a gamble on them. If they're good enough, sign them. So the NFL teams have got nothing really to lose, have they, Dave?
No, absolutely not. And I think if you think these aren't people that are the likes of me and you going, come on, let's have a go at the NFL.
Yeah.
These are top flight athletes. And we'll go on to a few of the big names that are currently going through the IPP and ones that have been there before. But yeah, it's risk-free. These are top flight athletes from all over the world, whether they're rugby players, sprinters, wrestlers, etc. So yeah, risk-free.
Yeah, and they have a thing called the International Combine. Now, a combine, for us, we shoot this in the UK, if you hadn't guessed by the accents. Now, a combine is where basically they go out and test out their skills, their strength and the agility. So they'll get all these players together and they'll do like how high they can jump, how quickly they can sprint, all these different metrics. So what they do is take this combine internationally. So they'll take it to Australia. And this is a way of like finding these potential IPP candidates, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I think the combine is for, is it 3 months? They train in the States for 3 months during the combine?
Just under, it's 10 weeks,
Yeah. The key thing, they're also paid.
Yeah.
They're paid $55K to actually compete in the IPP as well. So again, for an athlete that's at the top flight of their game, why would you not give it a go?
Yeah, exactly. And I think there are opportunities for strong athletes to take part in these combines, but I think it's meant for, absolute elite level guys. Yeah. There's a few rugby players in the UK that have gone over it and given it a go. But I think interestingly, can they adapt? Can these athletes adapt? And I think that's always been the challenge with the IPP, isn't it? Remember Christian Wade went over, who was Wasps, wasn't he?
Yeah, Wasps, 7 years.
Yeah. So Christian Wade went over, and I think he was quick enough. All of these kind of physical traits he had and were there. Yeah. Right? But unless you're ingrained in these sports and, you play in NFL not NFL, but football, sorry. Yeah. American football. From a young age, it's the little awareness, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
So we played rugby growing up, right? And we haven't played for years. Yeah. But you put us on a rugby pitch and yes, we'll be slow and we'll be massively out of condition, but you'd know where to be.
Yeah.
You'd know where to be.
Yeah. Even from playing as a kid to where now, we could lace up and go and join the lads at a weekend and you'd know what position you need to be in, you know where you are. And you're right. I mean, Christian Wade, he was top flight Wasps, England, he's rapid. He's 5'10", around 80 kilos, right? And I think he went as running back. So perfect position for him because he's got great visuals of the game, head up, speed run. You give him a gap and you think in rugby, you're running, you're looking for the gap, but people are coming to tackle you. You haven't got a load of people in front of you trying to part the seas for you to run through. But even then, top flight that he spent 3 years at the Buffalo Bills in their sort of training roster, and he never quite made it into their full squad.
So he never quite made it there. No, but he was on about $500,000 a year. Yeah, right. So just to put it into perspective, the average Premiership rugby player is on around £325,000, about $400,000 per year. So obviously Christian's gone out there. has he made it? Yes, to a degree. Has he come back and signed it for a team in France and is earning good money?
Racing 92 is that now?
Yeah, and he'll be on a good gig there, right?
Yeah.
So one of the players we're going to talk about, which is why it prompted us to do this podcast, is Louis Rees Zammit, right?
What a player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this guy is 23 years old.
Yeah.
He's 6'3". He's, what, is he 90 odd kilos?
90 odd kilos,
right?
Yeah.
And this is like Wonder Boy. Yeah, so he's
31
like,
caps for Wales, a Lion, 69 games at Gloucester. I mean, he is top of his game.
Yeah, exactly that. So why is Louis Rees Zammit going to the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, for him, if you actually listen to some of the, because I mean, for people that want to find out a bit more, so the IPP, they actually have a YouTube channel where they're actually following him and following his journey. And for him, he says like he's dreamt of playing in the NFL, and obviously in the UK, in Wales specifically, who he plays for, you don't get that opportunity. So he's dreamt of it. So he's done the next best thing and gone and play rugby. It's what we're fed into at school, local level, clubs, etc. But he's always dreamt of playing in the NFL. So he's reportedly been offered a 300 grand new contract at Gloucester.
So that's £300,000 sterling, which is about $375,000.
Yeah.
Right. And this is for a star player.
Yeah. At 23, that's not bad either, right?
Yeah.
But so for a star player at the top of their level, right? But he'll go into the IPP. As I said before, they get roughly paid around £50,000, around $63,000 to participate in it. But then if you think about the average salary of a wide receiver in the NFL, so that's a perfect position for him. He's tall, he's fast, he's strong, he's got great hands. $2.2 million, so around £1.75 million sterling. There's no risk.
No, there's not, because he's so young and he's got such a good reputation that, listen, if he goes out there, he does the 10 weeks, even gets assigned to a squad and doesn't quite make it after a year, he comes back, he strolls in and he earns £300,000 or £400,000, $400,000 or $500,000 in a heartbit, right? Yeah. But interestingly, a rookie, the minimum earnings for a rookie in the NFL is $435,000, about £350,000. So it is no risk for him, is there? It's an easy one. And watching the Pathway program on YouTube, like, I get it, they're in training, but he is making that ball look small. He is plucking it out of the air, isn't he? So do you think he's got a chance?
I think of anybody that's gone over, he probably stands the best chance now because, again, as we said before, he's just pure athletic ability. He's 23, he's young, he's fit, he's aggressive, and you know what, his work ethic, when you watch it, the Pathways, say it's the YouTube content piece on the IPP, is his work ethic is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I think you look at any greats in sport, whether it's Tiger, whether it's Kobe Bryant, whether it's Michael Jordan, everything that resounds through that is work ethic. And he's got that. So I think he will. I think he'll make it. Yeah.
And it's interesting to point out that we're talking about like the higher end of what rugby players are paid in the Premiership versus the lower end in NFL. So for the 21-22 season, I know it's a couple of seasons ago in the Premiership, the squad bill on average, salary wise, is about £6 to £7 million. It's what, like $8.5-9 million, right?
Yeah.
For kind of context, Patrick Mahomes himself, one player, is about $45 million.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 7 times the value of a whole rugby squad. So you can see why the players are doing it. And when we're kind of chatting about these numbers, just bear in mind these are a guideline. We don't know exactly what the numbers are because there's different guarantees and there's bonuses.
Endorsement deals.
Yeah, exactly.
Shirt deals,
So, it's really, really interesting. And when you look at the IPP program, there's one guy that's really kind of excelled from it, who's Jordan Mailata, who's a former rugby league player in Australia.
Yeah.
Now, this guy is on a 4-year, $64 million contract.
Yeah, Philadelphia Eagles, been to the Super Bowl,
So like that's the potential. Obviously, there's been talk about it in the past, and the whole point of this program is that you're not at a disadvantage because of the country you grew up in, right? Because over here, there's not a lot of American football played. There is, but it's getting more. But it's just, you don't want to be a victim of like where you're brought up. So that's the whole reason they're doing it. And there has been other high-profile athletes that, like back in the day, do you remember there was talk of Johnny Wilkinson?
Yeah, certainly coming out 2003 World Cup as a kicker. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I actually think he would have been quite good, to be honest. But we spoke about this the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
There is a difference, though, that you kind of, as a rugby player, as a fly half, whoever is kicking the ball, you are drop kicking, you're kicking from left to right. Believe it or not, it's actually quite harder to kick in a straight line every single time.
So in the NFL,
straight.
where they take the touchdown, it doesn't matter. Right, so if they touch down under the post, so to speak, or out wide, they still take the kick.
They can be on the sideline, it's straight in the middle.
But they take it straight on every single time. So we went to, me and Fozzie went out to the Philadelphia Eagles facility last year. We were out doing some work with Nike. And Fozzie's got his trainers on and he is launching the ball. Yeah. And like one of the coaches, kind of starts wandering over and he was like, he's not far off here from like elite level kicking in terms of the distances though. He just said the difference is he's making 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5. He had his trainers on, he was stiff and cold and everything else. Yeah. But these guys, the NFL guys, they don't miss very often, do they? Like if they miss 2 or 3 a season, it's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you think about it, anybody that watched the Super Bowl at the weekend, you think about how much actually kicking was done in that. I mean, those kickers held both teams, the 49ers and the Chiefs, in the game for a long time. And there were 2 Super Bowl records broken just in this Super Bowl for kicking.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I know.
That is absolutely
phenomenal.
And
I remember the commentator was like, he's just broken the record for the Super Bowl. And then it was like, he's just broken the record for the Super Bowl. That happened a minute ago.
Yeah, that is nuts.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Johnny Wilkinson. I mean, there's talks around Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. It's obviously is England's record time football soccer goal scorer, and he has come out in the past and said, "quote It's definitely something he wants to explore." He's a big fan. I think last year he went out because he got a bit of grief. They had a few days off, and he went out to the Super Bowl, watched it. Pretty much flew home straight away, and people were saying, should he be doing it, and et cetera, et cetera. But no, fair play to them. Anyone that wants to give it a go, I kind of massively respect it. So the IPP, there's some big names that have gone in the past, and I wish Louis Rees Zammit all the very best. But just to kind of put a bit more context around the numbers here, it's the high end, isn't it? We spoke about Pat Mahomes, but Joe Burrow is apparently something like $55 million a year. Yeah. And when you compare that to rugby players, they reckon the couple of highest paid rugby players in the world is like Owen Farrell, Finn Russell, and the numbers are something like £1 to £1.2 million per year, which is like $1.25 to $1.5 million.
Yeah. I
mean, those numbers are just worlds apart, aren't they?
Yeah. But strangely, so probably you and I that grew up playing rugby, you dreaming of $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Could you imagine playing $1 million a year? It's only when you start looking at American sports that you're just like, yeah, no, we haven't got that.
Absolutely.
But question on that, does that play out to sponsors? Because, American sports, it's all about sponsors. These people that are coming in, these kids, younger kids from colleges that are coming in, they've got endorsement deals from when they're at school. They're marketable. So that also plays into what they're paid. Yeah,
it's really, really interesting. And when you look at rugby as well, there's a bit of an argument as obviously the guys at NFL and rugby, both incredibly physical games. But for a really well-played rugby player in the Premiership, what did we say? About £325,000, $400,000 for, a 50 cap international. It's good money, right?
Oh, yeah.
Average Joe walking down the street, it's really good money. What they go through, though, now, Dave, how hard rugby is, you would kind of go, is it worth it? Because when they finish playing, these guys they're done. Physically, their bodies are in bits, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm fortunate enough to have played a reasonable level myself, but nowhere near the international and Premiership level that you've got. And I've had 2 discs removed and my spine fused, And then actually, I'm again lucky enough that I know a lot of these boys, the Andy Goods and the Austin Healey's and stuff, and they've been beaten up. Their bodies are broken. They put it all on the line. But again, do they have the same facilities? Do they have the same rehab that a lot of these NFL teams have?
Have you been to one of these facilities in the States, Dave?
No.
They are absolutely wild. We went to the Eagles, but also you hear stories of the colleges out there, which is like a university in the UK, and they reckon their facilities in the colleges are better than the Premier League facilities. So it's another world. How they treat sport out there is serious business everywhere, right? But I think it's just next level, isn't it? They just seem to do things bigger and better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, John, a really good series I can recommend for anybody that wants to kind of have a look at that pathway into the NFL through the college system is on Netflix. You've got QB1. So QB1 will follow sort of the top 3, 4, quarterbacks that are going through that sort of college level into draft. And, these are 17, 18-year-old kids. And you're right, the facilities are worlds apart from what we have here. And you're right, they're like top flight Man United, Man City facilities. And their kids.
So all in all, is the IPP successful? This is the conversation. So as of 2023, more than half of NFL teams have signed IPP players to their off-season practice squad. Big tick. More than 50 players from 18 countries have trained in the US through the IPP program. You're giving players the opportunity, at least. Big tick. 3 players whose careers started the IPP program, Efe Obada, Jordan Mailata, and Jacob Johnson, have recorded over 1,000 career NFL snaps. Yeah. So I think it's fair to say that it's becoming very successful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key thing is they're still learning, right? The amazing thing is the 2 lads that set it up, the 2 British guys, have seen an opportunity to say we need to give people in other countries more opportunity to chase their dreams. You look back to what you were saying around it was his dream to always play in the NFL. They've done that. So I think that's a great tick. It's going to be a journey no matter what it is. I think it is a success. You've got 3 players that have made it and done well. I think it'd be good to see 1 or 2 every single year start to do that. But yeah, I think it's a great success. I think the fact that we've even got it now, it's set up for people, is a great start. And I think I'm going to be watching with wide eyes and bated breath, really, to see how he gets on.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go, mate. I think that's the first podcast done and dusted. Yeah. How was it?
I enjoyed it. I mean, there's a lot of information there.
There's a lot of information. But I think people like that, though. I mean, I'm a bit of a nerd, sports nerd, in that I like when I hear stories and podcasts and they give me information, I'm kind of almost there. I want more detail. So I think that's kind of like half the idea behind this, is that we're just going to give that little bit more than the top line, aren't we?
Absolutely. It's that short, sharp snap of what is going in sport, what's the business behind sport. So hopefully people have enjoyed it.
Great stuff. Right, we'll see you next time. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
That was awkward.
Oh my God, I can't reach.
That's 2 stiff old rugby players,
oh
isn't it?
God, me back. I said about the surgery, didn't I?